This is The Swing by Jean-Honoré Fragonard. At first glance, it looks pretty innocent, right? But take a closer look and you'll see this painting is actually packed with secret symbols of sex, infidelity, and aristocratic decadence. Here's how one of art history's most famous paintings is hiding a surprisingly naughty backstory in plain sight. Let's start with how this painting came to be in the first place. The story behind its commission is almost as scandalous as the artwork itself. In 1767, a French nobleman known as the Baron de Saint-Julien wanted to have a portrait made of himself with his young mistress, but this wasn't going to be any ordinary portrait. The Baron had some very specific and very naughty ideas in mind. He approached a painter named Gabriel François Doyen with an unusual request. The Baron wanted Doyen to paint a scene of his mistress on a swing, being pushed by a bishop. And here's the kicker. He wanted himself positioned so that he could peek up the woman's skirts as she swung back and forth. Doyen was scandalized by this salacious request and promptly refused the commission. But he knew just the artist who might take on such a provocative subject, the young Jean-Honoré Fragonard. Fragonard was already gaining a reputation for painting playful, erotic scenes that appealed to aristocratic tastes. When approached with the Baron's scandalous idea, Fragonard didn't hesitate. He agreed to paint the risque scene, with a few minor adjustments. Instead of a bishop pushing the swing, Fragonard painted an older gentleman, presumably the young woman's husband. And rather than depicting the Baron himself in the painting, Fragonard included a generic young man as the voyeuristic lover. With these tweaks, Fragonard set to work creating what would become his most famous masterpiece. The finished painting, titled The Swing, or The Happy Accidents of the Swing in French, was completed sometime between 1767 and 1768. Now that we know the provocative backstory, let's take a closer look at the painting itself. Fragonard has created a lush garden setting, bursting with foliage and hidden statuary. The scene feels intimate and secluded, perfect for a secret romantic rendezvous. At the center of the composition is our main figure, the young woman on the swing. She's dressed in an elaborate pink gown with layers of frilly ruffles. Her dress billows around her as she swings upward, creating a frothy cloud of fabric. On the right side of the painting, partially hidden in shadow, we see an older man. He's seated on a stone bench and is holding the ropes attached to the swing. This is presumably the woman's husband, dutifully pushing her back and forth. And on the left side, half concealed in the bushes, is our young lover. He's sprawled on the ground, looking up at the woman with an expression of utter delight. His outstretched arm reaches toward her as she swings overhead. Fragonard has captured a singular moment frozen in time. The woman is at the pinnacle of her upward arc, her body leaning back as she kicks her leg up. Her left foot has just released her shoe, which is flying through the air. The overall effect is one of motion, excitement, and barely contained energy. There's a palpable sense of giddy joy and playfulness. But as we'll see, there are also layers of symbolism and hidden meaning woven throughout the scene. On the surface, the swing appears to be a light-hearted depiction of aristocratic leisure, but Fragonard has filled the painting with clever symbolism that hints at its more scandalous undertones. Let's start with the swing itself. In 18th century art, a swing was often used as a symbol of infidelity and fickleness in love. The back-and-forth motion represented the inconstancy of affections. So right from the start, the central image implies unfaithfulness. Then we have the woman's billowing pink dress. As she swings upward, her skirts fly open, giving the young man below a tantalizing glimpse underneath. Her outstretched leg reveals a flash of white stocking and a pink garter. This exposure of normally hidden undergarments would have been quite shocking and titillating to 18th century viewers. The woman's discarded shoe flying through the air is another loaded symbol. A shoe or slipper was often used in art to represent female sexuality. By kicking off her shoe so carelessly, the woman is symbolically casting off her virtue and inhibitions. If we look closely, We can see that the shoe is aimed directly at a marble statue on the left side of the painting. This statue depicts Cupid, the god of erotic love.
Shh. I guess this isn't the beautiful love story I thought it was.
He has his finger raised to his lips in a shushing gesture, as if he's in on the secret affair and promising to keep quiet about it. There are other smaller details that add to the painting's risque symbolism. On the right side, a small dog, traditionally a symbol of faithfulness, barks frantically, as if sounding an alarm about the woman's infidelity, but the husband remains oblivious, continuing to push the swing. We can also spot some sculptural putti, which are cherub figures peeking out from the foliage. One looks on with a worried expression, perhaps concerned about the illicit scene unfolding before him. Even the lush garden setting carries symbolic weight. Gardens were often used in art to represent sexuality and fertility. The overgrown, untamed nature of this particular garden mirrors the unbridled passions of the young lovers. And let's not forget that suggestively outstretched arm of the young man. Art historians have noted its phallic connotations, representing his sexual excitement as he gazes upward. By weaving together all these symbolic elements, Fragonard has created a multi-layered allegory of secret love and sexual freedom. To those who understood the hidden meanings, the swing was a titillating celebration of adultery and hedonism. Beyond its provocative subject matter, the swing is also a masterful example of Rococo painting technique. Fragonard's composition and use of color and light help reinforce the painting's themes. The composition is built around a rough triangle, with the swinging woman at the apex and the two men forming the base. This creates a sense of dynamic energy, with the eye naturally drawn upward to the central figure. Fragonard uses the contrast between light and dark to dramatic effect. The woman is bathed in a warm golden light that makes her the clear focal point. Meanwhile, the two men are partially obscured in shadow, emphasizing their secondary roles in the scene. The color palette is dominated by soft, pastel hues, particularly that distinctive pink of the woman's dress. These delicate colors were characteristic of the Rococo style and evoke a sense of lightness and frivolity. Fragonard's brushwork is loose and spontaneous, especially in areas like the woman's frilly dress and the surrounding foliage. This gives the painting a sense of movement and vitality. You can almost feel the swing in motion and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The artist has also included an abundance of curving, serpentine lines throughout the composition. From the arc of the swing to the twisting tree branches, these sinuous forms create a sense of gracefulness and sensuality. All of these artistic choices work together to reinforce the painting's themes of playfulness, passion, and barely contained energy. Fragonard's technical skill transforms a scandalous subject into a masterpiece of Rococo art. To fully appreciate the swing, we need to understand the cultural context in which it was created. This painting is an example of the Rococo style that dominated French art in the mid-18th century. The Rococo period emerged in the wake of Louis XIV, his death in 1715. It was a time of relative peace and prosperity for the French aristocracy. With the strict formal etiquette of the Sun, King's court relaxed, the nobility embraced a new spirit of frivolity and hedonism. Rococo art reflected these changing social mores. It moved away from the grandeur and seriousness of Baroque art, instead celebrating intimacy, playfulness, and romantic love. Mythological scenes gave way to depictions of aristocratic, pastoral pleasures and amorous dalliances. The style was characterized by pastel colors, asymmetrical designs, and elaborate ornamentation. It emphasized curves and natural forms. Rococo painters like Fragonard excelled at creating a sense of intimacy and capturing fleeting moments of joy or pleasure. This artistic movement aligned perfectly with the tastes of Fragonard's aristocratic patrons. The French nobility delighted in artworks that depicted their idealized lifestyle of leisure and romantic intrigue. Paintings like The Swing allowed them to revel vicariously in forbidden pleasures. It's worth noting that this decadent aristocratic culture was flourishing just a couple decades before the French Revolution. Works like The Swing can be seen as the last gasp of frivolity before the upheaval to come. The painting's hidden critiques of aristocratic morality may have been more pointed than they first appear. When The Swing was first unveiled, it caused quite a stir in French artistic circles. Many praised Fragonard's technical skill, but others were scandalized by its overt eroticism and mockery of marital fidelity. The painting helped cement Fragonard's reputation as a master of the Rococo style. It led to numerous commissions for similar, playful, romantic scenes from wealthy patrons. The Swing became one of the most famous and recognizable works of 18th century French art. However, the painting's popularity was relatively short-lived in its own time. As the French Revolution approached, tastes in art shifted dramatically. Fragonard's career declined in the revolutionary period, and The Swing faded from public view for many years. It wasn't until the mid-19th century that the painting was rediscovered and its artistic merits newly appreciated. Today, The Swing is considered an iconic masterpiece of 18th century art. It's one of the most famous works in London's Wallace collection. The painting continues to captivate viewers with its technical brilliance and layers of meaning. The Swing has also had a lasting impact on popular culture. It's been referenced and parodied countless times in other artworks, films, and advertisements. The image of the woman on the swing has become instantly recognizable, even to those unfamiliar with its origins. If you enjoyed uncovering the risque secrets of art history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos that peel back the layers of famous artworks. Don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss an upload.